Hi everyone, it's Dot and welcome to week 7 of my Final 50 challenge. I'll show you how I did this week in just a moment. But first, I had a lot of questions this week about intermittent fasting. I thought it would be good just to go over some of the basics. First up, a disclaimer. If you have a medical condition or are taking medications, you really should talk with your doctor first before you fast. You don't want to make your medical situation worse. So let's get to it. People ask, isn't fasting the same as starvation? Starvation means you have no choice. You have no food. You can't eat. Fasting's when you choose to go without food for whatever reason. In fact, we all fast every day when we sleep. That's why we call the first meal of the day breakfast, because it's when we break the fast. Now, is fasting for everyone? There are absolutely some people who just shouldn't fast. Children under 18, pregnant women, nursing mothers, anyone underweight, malnourished, or who has an eating disorder. Having said that, not everyone will like it. It does take practice. There's a few tips and tools to help you get started, and I'll suggest those in just a little bit. Is fasting safe? Yes, it is. Fasting is one of the most ancient healing traditions. Nearly every culture and religion practices fasting in some form. Millions of people around the world fast every day, all for different reasons. Now, some people have asked, well, if fasting is so great, why not just do that instead of going low carb? To answer that, I think we need to just quickly go over why a low carb, high fat diet actually helps you. Basically, when we eat, our blood sugar goes up. The hormone insulin is released, and it moves that sugar out of our blood into the cells where it gets stored as fat. As we digest our food, insulin levels fall. Other hormones then signal those cells that stored the fat to start releasing the fat to fuel our body. But after years of eating the standard American diet, high in sugar and processed carbs, those cells stop responding to insulin. They just don't want to store fat anymore. So your body responds by releasing even more insulin to get those cells to respond and store more fat. It's a cycle that keeps repeating itself. Eventually, insulin is at a constant elevated state in your body. And when insulin is elevated, you can't lose weight. Now, this is where low-carb, high-fat diet comes in. All foods trigger insulin. Some, like sugar and processed carbs, trigger a much greater insulin response. But healthy fats trigger a proportionally smaller response from insulin than sugar and carbs. So by going low-carb, high-fat, your body isn't releasing as much insulin. Then your body switches over from using glucose to fat as its primary source of energy. But the underlying problem is still there, and that's insulin resistance. And that is where fasting comes in. All foods trigger some insulin response, even fat. Fasting is a tool you can use to break the insulin resistance and make your body insulin sensitive again. Fasting lowers insulin for a longer period of time than your body's used to. This is what prevents or reverses insulin resistance. So back to the original question of, why can't I just fast and skip low carb? That'll work for Thanksgiving, but always going back to a high carb diet where you're eating sugar and processed carbs defeats the purpose of the fast. A person with type 2 diabetes can reverse their situation by eating a low carb diet and fasting. But if they stop eating a low carb, high fat diet, their diabetes is going to come back. So how do you fast? There isn't one way to do it, and there's no strict guide on how long you should fast. Some fasts allow you to have some calories, but the best one is the one that works for you. Fasting falls into two basic categories, short and long. Let's quickly look at 3 types of short fast. The first one is easy, a 12-hour fast. You eat 3 meals a day, no snacks, during a 12-hour window, say from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That means you're fasting from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning every day. This is pretty much how we ate until the 1970s, when we were all a lot thinner. Next up is a 16-hour fast. That means you have an 8-hour eating window, say from noon until 8 p.m. And from 8 in the evening until noon the next day, you're fasting. 2 meals a day, but you're eating all of your calories. Remember, when you're eating low carb, high fat, your insulin levels don't go very high, but you're burning fat during that 16-hour fast. Next up is the warrior diet. Here, your eating window is 4 hours, and you're fasting for 20. There's also longer fast, those longer than 20 hours. Some people, like yours truly, have been insulin resistant for decades. To break the insulin resistance, longer fasting regimens are needed. Dr. Jason Fung wrote 2 great books on fasting, The Obesity Code and The Guide to Fasting. He successfully treated and reversed type 2 diabetes using longer fasting windows. He talks about having some patients fast for 2 to 4 weeks or even longer sometimes. Please understand, a fast that long is under medical supervision. So what are the longer types of fast? First up is a 24-hour fast. Basically, you're fasting from dinner to dinner or breakfast to breakfast. You're essentially eating one meal a day. There are people who do it a couple of times a week, and there are some who do it every day. But I can't stress enough, you don't cut your calories. If you normally eat 1,800 calories, you're still going to eat 1,800 calories. Next up is the 5-2 diet. Here you eat normal 5 days a week. The other 2 days you're eating a total of 500 calories. So you can eat a single meal that is 500 calories or a bunch of small little snacks those 2 days that add up to 500 calories. There's also alternate daily fasting. You alternate between normal eating days and fasting days. You eat Monday, fast Tuesday, eat Wednesday, and so on. On fasting days, you can eat up to 500 calories. So it's similar to the 5-2 diet, just more intensive. How about a 36-hour fast, 48 hours, or a week? The longer you fast, the more benefits to your body. Benefits like slowing the aging process or reducing the risk of diabetes, cancer, heart disease. All right, full disclosure time. Since my cancer diagnosis, I now do a 7-day fast twice a year. This isn't for weight loss. It's about preventing a reoccurrence. In fact, my first 7-day fast, I lost 12 pounds, but I gained more than half of that back over the course of the next week. I'm not going to go into all the medical details, but evidence shows that a long fast can actually help your body shed abnormal cells that can turn cancerous. I wrote a blog post about this, and I'll put a link below if you're interested. I'll also post a video below by a cancer researcher who specifically looks at fasting and ketogenic diets and their therapeutic effects for cancer patients. Okay, so here are my top 5 tips on fasting. Tip 1, keep busy. Have you ever been so busy you forgot to eat or time just flies? Keeping busy is a way to keep your mind off food. Tip 2, drink plenty of fluids. Besides keeping you hydrated, it helps you fight hunger. So what can you drink? Water, tea, coffee, or bone broth. You want about 2 liters a day, but nothing with sugars, sweeteners, or any type of mixture like Crystal Light. You can add a slice of orange or lemon to a pitcher of water for flavor, but don't eat the citrus. I typically use cucumber and fresh mint to infuse my water with flavor. Also consider adding a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to 8 ounces of water. Apple cider vinegar is shown to lower blood sugar levels. Just never drink apple cider vinegar without diluting it first. Bad things will happen. If you're a tea drinker, you can add heavy cream or heavy whipping cream. No sugars, no sweeteners, and no creamers though. If you are a tea drinker, I do suggest you try green tea. It has a compound in it which basically helps suppress appetite. Coffee is a mild appetite suppressant, so it makes it perfect for fasting. Like tea, you can use a small amount of cream. But again, no sweeteners, no sugar, and no creamers. So what is a small amount of cream? Well, it really is up to you, but keep in mind that cream has actual milk sugars in it, and you're trying to reduce sugar. I recommend no more than 1 tablespoon or 3 teaspoons. You can add spices like cinnamon, which is an appetite suppressant. When I do a fast, I do drink a bulletproof coffee in the morning. Yes, it has a lot of calories, 200 to 250 depending on how you make it. But keep in mind, a bulletproof coffee, the calories are coming from fat, which really doesn't raise insulin all that much, and it will keep me full for a long period of time. Tip 3, practice, practice, practice. Fasting won't come easy right off the bat. When you first start, you're thinking about that refrigerator all day long. Start simple. Try a 12-hour fast first. If you go 11 hours, that's okay. Next time, shoot for 12. Remember, you're training your body to do something different. The point is, learn as you go and don't get discouraged. Tip 4, don't eat crap on non-fasting days. If fasting's just an excuse to eat junk, you won't get healthy. You're still going to end up with insulin resistance. Bottom line, you can never outrun your fork. Tip 5, remember that fasting is 100% mental. For years, we've been told we need to eat every 2 to 3 hours. We need to graze all day like a cow. That breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You'll go into starvation mode and oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There are a lot of mental hangups when it comes to fasting. Most of those hangups come from food companies who want you to buy their products. Bonus tip, if you want to be successful at fasting, I really do recommend that you're eating low-carb, high-fat for at least a month or 2 before you try it. Otherwise, you're going to have blood sugar crashes. You'll be hungry, cranky, fatigued. Please do your own homework and see if fasting's for you. Again, check out the links below. Check out Dr. Fung's books, blog, and videos. And with that, let's get to this week's numbers. Last week, I was 211.9 pounds. This week, I'm 211 even. That's a loss of 0.9 pounds. Slow and steady wins the race, and I am in it for the long haul. But this is Thanksgiving week, and I'll need to be on my guard to make sure I don't have any setbacks. And that's where strategy comes in. I talk about my strategy in last week's video. Check it out if you haven't already seen it. And with that, I'll see you next time.